The following video was produced in simulated 3D audio and will only make sense if you wear headphones, and preferably worn the right way.
I'm in your left ear.
And I'm on the right. Let's do this.
Where's my phone? Oh, here it is. Hello? Johnny, what's up, buddy? What is that? No, not you. Yeah, the tubes. I wanted an original set of tubes for the Marshall. No. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I need an original set. What is that? Nah, I'm just having a weird day. I can't get them anywhere else. I didn't make any of the calls. How many times we got to go through this? It's a 900 model 4500. It's the 50 watt. Hold on a second. Hey, buddy.
Dad, can we play?
No, come on. Daddy's working. I promise. As soon as I finish work, we're gonna play. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Don't take forever.
Now it's just my kid. What is that? No, not you. Look, I gotta leave. All right, I'm gonna look at my cupboard one more time, okay? Look, I looked here a million times. It's not here. Look, I'm leaving it up to you, okay? What is that?
This standard balloon rocker. Want to find out and join us for this episode of I Don't Have a Band right now.
Hey there, I'm Dan, the very much alive Lonely Rocker. Thanks for joining me for this episode of I Don't Have a Band. This is the series devoted to the home studio enthusiast and the home recording musician. Wow, things are getting a little trippy in here. Well, it's the perfect opportunity to talk about the experts in 3D audio production. That's Dearreality and their plugin, Dearvr Monitor. This is a plugin that lets you simulate different mixing environments in headphones. It doesn't matter what hardware you're working on. You could be on a laptop in your bedroom, but you can simulate mono up to full surround sound. It's a really incredible plugin. Now, this channel focuses on home studios, and one of the biggest challenges most of us face is the environment that we're in. Our rooms are just not tuned for mixing. Also, if you got a home studio and you got a family like me, well, you find yourself mixing at night, you're on headphones more than you probably want to be. So the trick really here is to improve our mixing environments. And if we can't do it physically, well, we can do it virtually. And that's what Dearvr Monitor is all about. You can pop on your headphones and you can put yourself in all sorts of different environments. And once the mix is done, you just turn off the plugin and you bounce out your mix. There's also a bunch of reference environments, whether it's your car or a club and things like that, so you can hear your mix in different environments. And since Dearreality are really the experts in virtual audio, these environments are really exceptional. So what I want to do is I want to dissect that scene that I shot in the opening. That was actually all shot with a single microphone, and I created the 360 soundscape actually with another one of their products, that's Dearvr Pro. I'll talk about that in a second, but everything was monitored with the Dearvr Monitor plugin. Now, if you're not wearing headphones, none of this is going to make sense. I'd highly recommend going back to the beginning and watching that opening with headphones on, because you'll really understand what I'm talking about. So to make sense of all of this, why don't we jump in and take a look? Oh, geez. Why don't we take a look at Dearvr Monitor? Okay. I didn't scare you, did I? Just having a little fun. All right, let's take a walk through Monitor. I'm going to put on my headphones. I really hope you're wearing headphones, because this really won't make any sense if you're not. This whole video, I've mixed it with the plugin on. Typically, when you use this plugin as a reference tool, once you're ready to bounce out your mix, you're going to actually turn it off. But I've actually left it on for this whole video, so you can wear headphones and hear what I'm hearing all the way through. So just for a little clarity, I did use sort of a 3D audio example in the opening, but that's not really the only purpose of this plugin. Monitor is designed to recreate a mixing environment. So if If you're sitting in a bedroom on a laptop and you just have trouble getting good mixes because your environment is just not cooperating, then you can create the optimal mixing experience in headphones. Now, the whole debate of what's better, speakers or headphones, well, the headphone environment, we're simulating the speaker environment. But if that environment is just not available to you, why fight it? I don't believe you can get great mixes on just headphones, regardless how good the headphones are, because it's missing that space and environment. Even in this case, I use open back headphones. It gives me a sense of air when I'm mixing, but the room is not really playing much of a factor. So with Dearvr Monitor, we've got these amazing virtual environments, and really any environment that you're mixing in, you need to learn it anyway. So in this case, you can set up your virtual environment and save that preset, and that can be consistent. So the more and more you mix in that environment, the more you get used to it, and the more that will translate into better mixes. That's the idea anyways. And if you're looking to set up your studio and you got to put acoustic panels, as I've done here, on the work and time and effort, the amount of money you're going to spend to do this, the plugin's probably cheaper. So if you do feel you're limited in the space that you're working in, this is actually a really, really great option for you. Anyways, let's take a walk through the plugin so you can see what it's all about. Right in the center of it all, there's a visual display of the speaker mode that you're in. That's determined here by the input section here on the left side. Now, I don't want to get too much into the details in setting up the plugin. If you ultimately do get your hands on it, Dear Reality has some great resources to help you get set up. So I'll put a link in the description to their website. So if you do pick up the plugin, you probably already know the website then, but you can check out their resources in terms of how to set things up, because there's a number of different factors to consider depending on the mode that you want to work in. But that being said, you've got mono. So if you want to check your mix in mono, you can do it here. You've got a couple of stereo modes, stereo and wide. And then a bunch of different multi-speaker and surround modes here. My project is set up that's giving me up to 6.0. If I change the setup of my project to accommodate the other formats, I can do that. But for the case of this example, I went up to 6.0, which I will demonstrate a little bit later. The other section here is the control room, where you can set up a couple different parameters here. Number one is the scene. So you can set up a traditional mixing environment. You've got mixed room A and B, a larger room. Analytic dry, I believe, is a very dead room, almost like an anechoic chamber, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And then under the check category, you have a bunch of real world examples, so you can hear your mix in different virtual environments, from a club, a van, in a car, things like that. So you want to do the car test, you can do it right here without leaving the comfy confines of your home studio. The other thing here, there's two settings. There's ambience and focus. Ambience really is the diffusion. You can set the amount of diffusion to taste, what sounds right to your ear. And then the focus is the amount of coloration in the room. You just play with those sliders until you find something that just sounds natural to you. That's really the key if you're looking to set up a real virtual mixing environment. I'll demonstrate that in a second. The head rotation just gives you a manual adjustment if you want to turn your head different ways. I mean, Dear Reality does have head tracking technology. In this case, I don't need it because I'm typically sitting this way. But if I want to give sort of the single ear check, what I do is I put my my mouse on the dial and I sort of turn it in the direction of my head. You'll notice that the orientation of the sound will follow your head turn. Master gain, you can just balance the output of the plugin. Now I will say, typically in plugin reviews, I want to do my best to balance the volume of the signal with the plugin off and on, but there's so many different variables here, the different room sizes, that the perception of loudness will change. So that's really, we're not testing a compressor here, so I'm not really concerned about that, but just be forewarned that you might notice some differences in levels, just the nature of the beast. All right, so what I'm going to do without talking too much, I'm going to play a track and I'm just going to go through some of the parameters here. I'm going to set it to mix room large, just so the ambient effects are a little bit more noticeable. So when I make some changes, you'll actually hear that. And then I'll step through a couple of the other examples just so you can hear that. So let's take a listen. Well, the first thing you'll notice that there's definitely an ambience in there. There's a bit of air and space in there, and that's something that you don't get when you're wearing headphones. I don't care if you're wearing open backs or closed back. You're pretty restricted in terms of how that sound is impacted by the environment that it's in, and that's definitely a factor in creating your mixes. So I do love that feeling. It just like my ears just open up and I just feel that space. Let me step through some of the other environments just so you can get a sense of what they sound like. I do recommend once you find an environment that you're comfortable with, I would recommend sticking to it. I think that's the whole idea, is creating that consistency, and then you'll have more consistent results from mix to mix. All right, so let's quickly look at some of the check environments. These are kind of interesting. Let's start with the live venue. These are handy. And now I know people are going to say, well, it's simulated, it's not going to be correct. Well, if you're checking your mixes in your car, I'm willing to bet the results you get in your car are not going to be the same as the results I get in mine. Check it in the bathroom, check it wherever you want. These just give you some reference points just to hear your mix in different environments. It's a really handy tool, and you can do it all in the confines of your studio. Just quickly want to step through these, depending on what format you want to work with. If you got 4.0, let's see here. We've got 6.0, which is what I worked in. Let me put this back in mix mode here. Yeah, so here's 6.0, so you get a nice visual representation, so you always know what mode you're in if your ears are tricking you. All right, well, that's really the basics in terms of a stereo mix. It's really, really simple. Definitely it's something you want to get your ears on here for yourself. I definitely recommend you try it because it's a really interesting experience. I think it takes a little bit sort of to tune your ear to it, but once you're sort of inside it, it's a really wonderful experience. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we're going to shift gears now, and I want to take a look at that scene that I built in the opening. It was all shot with one microphone, but I'm going to talk about that in a second and let you see how Dearvr Monitor played a role in that experience. All right, let's take a look at this musician's nightmare scene from the opening. Now, I need to give an honorable mention to Dearvr Pro. This is the 3D sound design plugin, also from Dear Reality. I featured that in a video earlier this year. I'll put a link in the description. You should check that out. This plugin is a lot of fun. I'll touch on it a little bit here, but really we wouldn't be focusing on ultimately what Monitor is providing in terms of this mix. So to start, I'm going to just show you a raw clip off the camera. That scene of me walking around the room, I had a lapel microphone on. It's not like I had microphones around the room or the camera, so that effect of me being in front of the camera, being behind the camera, that was all done in Dearvr Pro. I'm mixing this in a 6-speaker configuration. I'll show you that in a second, but let me just show you the raw clip so you can hear how this whole thing started.
It's a 900 model 4500. It's the 50 watt. Hold on a second. Hey, buddy. No, come on. Daddy's working, I promise. As soon as I finish work, we're going to play, okay? All right, thanks, buddy. Yeah, it was just my kid. What is that?
Really, nothing much to it. I sort of rehearsed that scene a little bit, so I knew I wanted to put myself in different places around the room, because the plan was to use Dearvr Pro to simulate that placement, whether I was, again, behind the camera, in front of the camera, left side, right side, or deep into the room. That's all things that you can do with Dearvr Pro. Actually, let me just show you it right here. So here it is, and just using basically this graph, you can place yourself around the room, and that's what I did here. Played with reflections and things like that, and tuned it. A little bit of EQ on maybe 1 or 2 of the tracks just to really sell it, but just mapped it out in terms of this grid, and that's how I got all of the different placements, plus obviously some mixing involved. But let's take a look at the edit. So if you look at all of the blue sections here, that's actually all the dialogue that came off of my lavalier microphone. I did it all in one take, and then I brought it in here and I sliced it up and placed it on different tracks depending on if I was in the left side of the camera or the right side, off camera, right, deep into the room, things like that. So I sort of mapped out. Then if you watch the video, it's pretty simple. There was about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different locations around the room that I planned to talk, and then I was able to use Dearvr Pro to to craft and build that depth. Plus there's some ambience in there and other little sound effects that come into play to help sell the realism or the virtual realism of that scene. Now in terms of monitor, so bring it right here, I was working in the 6.0 configuration just to give that real surround feeling. So what I'm going to do is let me turn the plugin off and just play a couple seconds of the scene without the monitor plugin on at all.
How many times we got to go through this? It's a 900 model 4500. It's the 50 watt. Hold on a second. Hey, buddy.
Dad, can we play?
No, come on. Daddy's working. I promise. As soon as I finish work, we're gonna play. Okay? All right. Thanks, buddy.
Don't take forever.
Yeah, it's just my kid.
So Dearvr Pro is doing its job on its own. You can sort of hear the placement of everything, but there's something kind of missing here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it into stereo. All right, so let's listen to that again with monitor on, but in stereo mode.
How many times we got to go through this? It's a 900 model 4500. It's the 50 watt. Hold on a second. Hey, buddy.
Dad, can we play?
No, come on. Daddy's working. I promise. As soon as I finish work, we're gonna play. Okay? All right. Thanks, buddy.
Don't take forever.
Yeah, it's just my kid.
So again, we can hear Dearvr Pro is doing its job, but we're not quite there in terms of the full effect. So now I'm going to switch it into 6.0, which is how I mix this show. Now, hear the difference.
How many times we got to go through this? It's a 900 model 4500. It's the 50 watt. Hold on a second. Hey, buddy.
Dad, can we play?
No, come on. Daddy's working. I promise. As soon as I finish work, we're gonna play. Okay? All right. Thanks, buddy.
Don't take forever.
Yeah, it's just my kid.
So you can really hear how that environment just really comes to life now. It just, the fact that they can simulate 6 speakers in headphones is just truly amazing to me. And it's a really, really amazing experience. You're just getting a taste of it here. I plan to spend a couple of hours and just mix that little scene. And then once I sort of got into it, I just lost myself in it. It was, honestly, it was having so much fun. I hope that this is conveying at least an idea of what the plugin is doing. I definitely recommend at least checking it out for yourself just so you can experience it, when you get your hands on your own mix and how everything sort of responds to what you're hearing. I'll put a link in the description to Dear Reality's website so you can get more information and then possibly check it out for yourself. But it really truly is a unique experience if you haven't done it before. I had so much fun with this piece. Now I do have a video production background and I had fun with the visuals, and then adding this whole layer of 360 sound and everything. It's just, my mind is just racing with all kinds of ideas and things that I plan on doing going forward. Anyways, but I had a lot of fun with that, and again, hope that this conveyed sort of the idea of what this plugin can do. But just remember that the monitor plugin is not just for virtual 360 environments like this. Definitely, if you're having trouble in your space and you're just your mixes are suffering because your environment is just not optimal, this is definitely something to consider to create that consistent environment that you can work in all the time. You can learn it, and it's going to go a long way to improving your mix. Well, if you're new to this channel, I hope I've earned a subscribe. I've certainly worked for it in this video. You can hit that subscribe button and come along for the ride. If you really want to support this channel, I am on Patreon. Links to everything I've discussed, plus things I haven't, will be in the description below. And above all else, I hope I'll see you again in another video. As always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And please like, subscribe, and ring that bell to stay up to date. Remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll. There are a lot of great musical projects you can do by yourself, right from your own home. I hope to see you again next time.